You are standing at the edge of a waterfall so loud you cannot hear the person next to you. In front of you is a drop so steep the mist disappears before it hits the bottom. You have never heard of this place. Neither has almost anyone you know. You are in Angola, a country that has been hiding in plain sight for decades. Behind you is rainforest stretching to the horizon. Below you is a 400-foot drop. You are completely alone. I am going to show you why that will not be true for much longer. Subscribe to join me. Let me show you everything. There is a road in Angola that drops 1,000 feet in 2 miles. 6 hairpin turns. At the bottom you are in the tropics. At the top you are in the clouds. That is Serra da Leba. Survive those curves and Morro de Cruz waits 1,800 feet above Luanda. 360 view of the entire city. Drive straight to the top. One of the only viewpoints in Africa you reach by car. 20 miles long. 300 feet wide. Stand anywhere on Ilha do Musulo and you can see ocean on both sides. The Kwanza River runs through all of it. 600 miles to the Atlantic. Every other river in Angola dries up. Have you ever heard of a waterfall that pushes more water than Victoria Falls? Not just a little more than double. During the rainy season, Kalandula Falls unleashes up to 25,000 cubic meters per second, making it one of Africa's most powerful cascades. And somehow, most people have never heard of it. You stand at the rim and the ground trembles beneath your feet. A wall of white water stretches 400 meters wide, plunging 105 meters into the valley below. The roar swallows every other sound. Mist rises from the base in thick curtains, catching late afternoon light and throwing rainbows across dense rainforest canopy, so green it almost glows. Local legend says a powerful spirit lives within that water, protecting the land and its people. Watching it rage, feeling that thunder in your chest, you start to believe them. A 100-meter cargo ship lies on its side off the Angolan coast, slowly dissolving into the ocean floor. The Cabo de Santa Maria ran aground here in 1976, and instead of being salvaged, it became something else entirely: a reef. Coral now clings to rusted steel. Schools of fish weave through corridors where cargo once sat. You slip beneath the surface and the water shifts from turquoise to deep indigo as the hull emerges from the blue like a ghost. Decades of salt and current have peeled back the metal, exposing ribs of iron that sea fans have claimed as their own. Above the waterline, the wreck's silhouette catches golden light at sunset, rust bleeding orange against the Atlantic. Below, barracuda patrol the bow, while smaller species dart through portholes. 2 worlds sharing one skeleton, one crumbling, the other thriving around it. Did you know there's a road in Angola that drops 1,800 meters in just 14 kilometers? Serra da Leba isn't just a mountain pass. It's an engineering dare carved into the side of a cliff. You round each hairpin turn and the valley opens wider beneath you, lush green vegetation clinging to rock faces that plunge straight down into mist. During the Civil War, this was a lifeline. Soldiers and civilians alike navigating these same impossible switchbacks under very different circumstances. Now, at sunrise, The road reveals itself in layers. Fog lifts from the valley floor while golden light catches each serpentine curve, one after another after another. You can count them from the overlook. Pull over at the top and just breathe. The air is cool, thin, carrying the scent of wet earth and wild grass. Below you, that ribbon of asphalt threads through mountains like it has no business being there. Where the Kwanzaa River sprawls into the lowlands, something strange happens. Freshwater and saltwater collide, and the fish here. They don't pick a side. Lagoa do Kwanzaa shelters species that thrive in both, shifting their biology as the water's salinity changes with the seasons. 150 square kilometers of turquoise water stretching beneath the equatorial sun, and beneath that surface, an ecosystem that rewrites the rules. You arrive at dawn and mist clings to everything. The reeds, the shoreline, your skin. Then it lifts, and the lagoon reveals itself in layers. Emerald vegetation crowds the banks while herons cut low across water, so vivid it looks engineered. For centuries, local tribes navigated these waters as trade routes, long before Portuguese colonists recognized their value. By evening, the surface becomes a mirror, holding sunset colors the sky has already let go of. Pure, quiet defiance of expectation. Did you know there's a waterfall in Angola wider than 4 football fields laid end to end? Cascata de Kalandula stretches 400 meters across and plunges 105 meters down, making it one of the largest waterfalls on the entire African continent. Ancient volcanic activity carved this place. Millions of years of eruption and erosion, sculpting dark basalt into a colossal curtain of water. You hear it before you see it. A deep, rolling thunder that vibrates through your chest. Then the mist hits your skin, and through it, turquoise water crashes against jet-black volcanic rock in a contrast that almost doesn't look real. Locals speak of spirits living within these waters, guardians of the land who've dwelled here long before anyone thought to name the falls. Late afternoon is when the magic peaks, sunlight fracturing through mist, throwing rainbows across that ancient dark stone. 2 hours south of Luanda, the ocean turns green. Not blue-green, not teal. Genuinely, unmistakably green. Cabo Lido's waters carry such dense phytoplankton that the waves rolling toward shore glow emerald against sand the color of warm honey. It looks unreal, like someone adjusted the saturation on the entire coastline. You stand at the edge of the dunes, salt air mixing with the dry earth smell of the desert behind you, and watch surfers carve through those jade-colored barrels. Some of the cleanest, least crowded breaks in all of West Africa. This stretch once served as a military base during Angola's war for independence. Now the only battles here happen between surfers jockeying for position on a perfect left-hand point break. Come at sunset. The low light deepens everything. Gold sand burns amber, green water shifts to something almost black, and fishermen haul their nets against a sky on fire. Did you know there's a desert in Angola older than the Andes, older than the Alps? Older, in fact, than most mountain ranges on Earth. Namibia sits at the edge of a landscape 80 million years in the making, where colossal dunes plunge straight into the Atlantic. You step out onto the salt flats and the crunch beneath your boots is immediate. Coarse crystals, blindingly white, stretching so far they mirror the entire sky like a second ocean. This desert sprawls over 600 miles along the coastline, vast enough to be visible from orbit. Yet, down at the harbor, life erupts in color. Fishing boats painted tangerine and cobalt rock against the docks, their crews hauling the morning catch while gulls wheel overhead. At sunset, the flats turn molten pink, the dunes glow copper, and the line between sand and sea dissolves into something you can't quite name. The salt air hits you before the view does. Then you round the headland and Lobito Bay opens up. 20 kilometers of natural harbor curving like a crescent, fishing boats scattered across water so calm it barely moves. But here's what most people miss. Beneath this tranquil surface runs the Lobito Fault, one of the rare places on Earth where tectonic plate interaction is visible above sea level. You can trace it in the rugged cliffs that frame the shoreline, layers of rock telling a story millions of years in the making. Once a vital Portuguese colonial port linking Angola to Atlantic trade routes, Lobito still carries that working harbor grit. At sunset, the sky cracks open in orange and pink, and those weathered cliffs glow like embers slowly cooling over the water. The sand stretches wide and golden, but don't let that calm shoreline fool you. Praia do Futurao hides a violent secret. Waves here surge to 4 meters high, making it one of the most dangerous swimming beaches on the planet. You feel the ground tremble before you see them. Walls of white water slam the coast with a force that sends spray across the road. And yet, locals don't run from it. They build right into the chaos. Colorful wooden shacks line the shore, smoke rising from charcoal grills where the day's catch sizzles minutes after leaving the net. A mountain range stretches 1,000 kilometers across eastern Angola, and for decades, the world believed it had lost something irreplaceable here. The giant sable antelope. Gone. Extinct. Except it wasn't. In the early 2000s, researchers pushed deep into the Serra da Leba and found them, alive and thriving in these remote valleys. Today, this range shelters the largest surviving population on Earth. You arrive at dawn, when mist clings to rocky outcrops and the air carries that rich, earthy scent of rain-soaked soil. Green valleys unfold below the peaks, thick with endemic plants found nowhere else. The Portuguese once loved this place so much they named it Nova Lisboa, New Lisbon, and seriously considered making it Angola's permanent capital. Then, civil war shattered it. Entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble, decades of conflict erasing what centuries had built. But here's what gets me about Huambo. You walk through the city center today, and colonial facades stand freshly restored beside Angola's largest agricultural research center, where scientists are reinventing how the country feeds itself. The surrounding hills roll out in every direction, impossibly green, terraced with farms that supply half the nation's food. Step into the morning markets and color hits you everywhere. Vivid Capulana textiles draped across stalls, pyramids of tomatoes and cassava glowing under canvas awnings. A city that refused to stay broken. At golden hour, those green hills catch the light and burn emerald against a deepening sky. Over 100,000 enslaved Africans passed through these walls. That number deserves a moment to sink in. Fortaleza de São Miguel rises above Luanda Bay, its weathered stone rough beneath your fingertips. Each crack, each groove carved by 4 centuries of salt wind and silence. Built between 1576 and 1590, the Portuguese designed this fortress not to defend a city, but to protect a trade in human lives. You walk the ramparts and Luanda sprawls below you, modern and restless, while up here time feels suspended. Murals now line the interior walls, vivid color against ancient stone. Angola reclaiming this space, rewriting its meaning. Late afternoon light turns everything golden, almost gentle. But the fortress remembers. And standing here, so will you. Did you know there are beaches where the sand literally sings? Benguela sits along Angola's Atlantic coast, and when you walk across the dunes near Praia da Cauatinha, the ground hums beneath your feet, a low, resonant tone that rises with each step. Scientists still debate exactly why it happens, but trust me, hearing it for the first time stops you cold. Beyond the dunes, faded colonial buildings line the streets in peeling pastels of blue and ochre, relics of a port city with a dark history rooted in the slave trade. Wander down to the fish market and the air thickens with salt and wood smoke as fishermen haul in the day's catch. But stay until sunset. Golden light floods the shoreline, and for a moment, even the sand seems to quiet down. Have you ever seen a city built for 1 million people where almost nobody lives? Welcome to Calamba. Constructed in just 5 years and completed in 2012, this sprawling development stretches across 30 square kilometers of candy-colored apartment blocks, wide boulevards, and modern infrastructure. Over 7,500 units stand ready, waiting. You walk down 6-lane roads and hear nothing but your own footsteps. The buildings glow in pastel pinks, yellows, and blues, cheerful facades watching over empty playgrounds and silent courtyards. Born from Angola's post-Civil War ambitions, Calamba was meant to signal rebirth, rapid modernization on a scale few African nations had attempted. Instead, it became a living paradox. At golden hour, long shadows stretch between towers, and the silence settles heavy. A city holding its breath, still waiting to wake up. Did you know there's a waterfall in Angola that towers higher than Victoria Falls? Geological plunges over 200 meters off a cliff edge in one of the most remote corners of the country. 656 feet of raw, thundering force. And almost nobody knows it exists. You hear it long before you see it, a deep roar echoing through dense green valleys that feel genuinely untouched. Locals speak of a guardian spirit dwelling in the cascade, protecting the land and everyone on it. Late afternoon is when Geological truly performs. Sunlight catches the mist rising from the base, and a rainbow materializes, suspended in the spray, shifting as you move. Did you know Angola's highest point sits in a mountain range most people have never heard of? Serra do Moco rises to 2,600 meters, and almost nobody's talking about it. You climb through arid lowlands, then suddenly, green. Everywhere. Lush highland forest clings to slopes that have no business being this fertile. After rain, the earth releases this deep, loamy perfume that mixes with cold, thin air. Locals say ancient spirits control the weather up here, and when morning clouds swallow the peaks whole, you start to understand why. The summit view stretches endlessly, silent except for wind through strange high-altitude flowers. 500 million years. That's how long these limestone towers have been standing. The Montes de Melange hold Africa's largest concentration of dolomitic formations, and some of them look like they shouldn't exist. Natural arches hanging in mid-air, cliffs carved into shapes that seem to defy every rule of physics. You arrive in early morning mist and the white limestone emerges slowly, almost glowing against deep green valleys below. The smell hits you first. Rich, earthy clay hanging in the morning air as potters shape vessels the way their ancestors did centuries ago. This is an Ovimbundu village, home to Angola's largest ethnic group. And here's what caught me off guard. Every single decision in this community is made collectively. Not a chief dictating. Not elders overruling. Everyone speaks. Everyone is heard. You arrive at dawn and watch the village stir to life. Thatched roofs catching golden light, women stoking cooking fires, children darting between colorful huts. Then the drums begin, and dancers emerge in layered fabric that pulses with every step. Ancient rhythms, modern heartbeat. A thin ribbon of sand stretches 30 kilometers into the Atlantic, and it used to be the private playground of Portuguese colonial elites. Today, Ilha do Musulo belongs to everyone. You arrive by boat, salt air mixing with the sweetness of tropical flowers blooming wild along the shore. The water here shifts color depending on the algae blooming beneath the surface. Jade one morning, turquoise the next. Local fishermen glide past in painted wooden boats, threading through mangrove channels they've memorized since childhood. Did you know you can stand on top of a dead volcano in Angola? Morro de São Pedro is a volcanic plug, the hardened magma core of a volcano that erupted millions of years ago, its softer walls long eroded away. What remains juts 1,300 meters into the sky, a tower of deep gray rock surrounded by impossibly green valleys. Locals speak of ancient spirits dwelling inside, guardians of the land itself. Arrive at dawn and watch mist cling to the peak as the first light carves its silhouette sharp against the sky. Defiant geology, standing where nothing else dares. Did you know that somewhere in Angola, a meteorite punched a hole in the earth so massive it filled with water and became the country's largest crater lake? Lagoa do Lumbo stretches 1.5 kilometers across. One of only a handful of impact lakes on the entire African continent. You stand at the crater rim and the water below glows deep azure, almost impossibly blue against the lush green walls rising around it. Locals speak of a giant serpent guarding these waters. At dawn, mist clings to the surface, and honestly, you half believe them. Just 90 minutes from Luanda's concrete sprawl, elephants roam free. That's Vila de Quicama, where over 1,000 square kilometers of wild savanna press right up against one of Africa's fastest growing cities. You arrive at golden hour and the landscape splits in two. Dry, rust-colored hills on one side, lush green corridors of acacia and wildflower on the other. After rain, the air carries this unmistakable blend of damp earth and something sweet, almost floral. Did you know Angola's currency is named after a river? The Kwanza stretches over 600 miles through the heart of the country, and for centuries it served as the main artery connecting Angola's interior to the coast, carrying goods, people, and stories downstream. You stand along its green-fringed banks at dawn, and the water catches light like hammered copper. Local fishermen cast wide nets in practiced arcs, silhouettes against the mist. The current is steady, muscular, carving through valleys that most travelers never reach. Listen closely. Beneath birdsong, the river hums. A low, constant pulse Angola was literally built around. Have you ever seen a city where a single apartment rents for $15,000 a month, surrounded by neighborhoods where families live on less than $2 a day? That's Luanda. Founded in 1575 as a slave trading port, it now sprawls along the Atlantic in a collision of glass towers and corrugated iron. At golden hour, murals explode in color against raw concrete, and the fortress of São Miguel watches over a skyline reshaping itself faster than almost anywhere in Africa. Angola has shown us a country rebuilding itself, where Portuguese colonial echoes meet vibrant African traditions and landscapes that shift from desert dunes to tropical coastlines. Subscribe to keep exploring these hidden corners of our world. Which of Angola's contrasts surprised you most?